You're not stuck. It's not that you don't have the right plan or the right diet. You're just not committed. You have the knowledge to be the best version of yourself. You know what you need to do. You need to train hard, eat clean, get your sleep, drink your water, get your steps in, but you still can't do it. So we know it's not a knowledge problem. It's an application and execution problem. We drown in content from Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We see all of our favorite influencers doing the best bicep exercise, or this is the best split to do if you want big shoulders. To some degree, I guess it's true, but at the end of the day, it's hard work and consistency. They didn't just get to where they wanted to be in weeks, months, even a couple of years. It takes time. And the main problem people face is commitment. You just aren't willing to commit. So all of this information online, it creates so much confusion. And I get it. I used to scroll through Instagram and YouTube and watch Chris Bumstead, Sam Sulek, all of these bodybuilders, thinking, okay, what are they training for their back? What are they doing for their legs? I need to include this in my workouts. I've been there, and you do it for a couple of weeks and you think, well, why don't I look like Chris Bumstead? Other than the fact that he takes steroids, he's trained for years. That's what his life is. His life is dedicated to that. So one, you need realistic expectations of what you want, but you also need to be so crystal clear on what you want. And I'm not just talking about what you want in the next 3 months. I'm talking in the next few years. Like, how do you want to look? How do you want to feel? Because if you're unsure, you just chop and change, you overcomplicate things. You always question, what is the best split for me? What is the best exercise for my biceps? I need to train all three heads of my shoulders and every single muscle group 4 times a week. It isn't true. Like, make it simple. You need to train hard and you need to do it consistently. And I know, again, that sounds simple. So you already know that you need to do that, but you're not doing it, and you're probably asking why. And I know I always used to ask myself why. Why can't I stick to my diet? Why can't I be consistent in the gym? Why can't every session be a good session? Why can't I train hard consistently? Why am I being distracted by all these things that I have control over at the end of the day? We control our judgments, how we react to things, and to most part, what we actually do. More content doesn't make you better. Yes, you will learn a lot from YouTube and Instagram, and you'll still question, who's right, who's wrong. You'll always have a preference on science-based lifting over just actually training hard. But at the end of the day, application and execution is only possible if you know exactly what you want. There's no point in thinking to yourself one week, oh, I'm going to bulk. You bulk for 3 or 4 weeks and think, oh, I'm getting a bit podgy, I'm going to cut. And then you cut for a couple of weeks and think, oh, it's too difficult. It just doesn't work. That's why you yo-yo. That's why you don't get results. I see people that have been training for years and they still look the same because they go through this vicious cycle of, I can't commit. And that's what it comes down to, just committing. People always ask, you know, should I bulk? Should I cut? What is the best for me right now? And in all honesty, it just doesn't matter, because if you bulk, it doesn't mean you're going to be big forever. Like, that is a very small period of time in the grand scheme of things where you're going to have to feel a little bit fluffy. The same goes for cutting. Guys always worry that I'm going to look skinny, I'm going to look small. 9 times out of 10, if you've really got muscle and you cut, you're going to look bigger. But the problem is you just don't commit. So right now, commit to what you want to do. Make a decision. Make it scary. it might be unknown, it might be something you've not done before. Just go all in. There's no point in being half-assed about it. Being half-assed doesn't get results. You have to think to yourself, I'm all in. And I'm all in for 12, 16 weeks, even longer. Track your progress. Have a benchmark. Where did you start? Take photos, weigh yourself, track all of your lifts, follow a plan, follow a structure, monitor it throughout. At the end, see where you're at. That isn't the end of the line. I don't know why we have it in our mind that that's the end point, because it just really isn't. So you're not stuck. It's not that you don't have the right plan or the right diet. You're just not committed. You're not committed to what you actually want to achieve. We all have goals, but you have to be crystal clear on them. The reason that my clients get a result is because they stop thinking. They don't question themselves, they just do. They take action, they commit. They know what needs to be done because we've set a goal. We are so clear about that goal, and we break it down. Okay, what do you need to do to get there? And how long is it going to take? Where are you going to be each step of the way? There are expectations and accountability. At the end of the day, they just start executing. There isn't a perfect time, and there never will be, other than right now. You can't keep saying to yourself, I'll start on Monday. Okay, Monday comes round and you have a stressful day at work. Okay, well, I'm not going to start on a Tuesday. I'll wait until next week. And it just keeps happening. The right time is now. So pick what you want to do. Be clear about it and just commit. There is no right or wrong. Go all in. In 12, 16 weeks, you'll be absolutely unrecognizable, better or worse. You will change. That is undeniable if you go all in. And that's not the end of the road. Once you hit that goal, you can change. It doesn't matter at all. So look, I'm going to be posting videos like this once a week. But it'll be, all things mindset, triathlon training, high rocks training, bodybuilding, diet, vlogging, lifestyle, just a bit of everything, just so you've got a deeper understanding of the standards that I set for myself, I set for clients, and just how to be the person that you say you're going to be. So subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Let's do it.